Hello there, thank you for staying with us and welcome to another edition of Channels Beam. Today on the program, we will take another look at how students can take advantage of technology while at home as the ASU strike continues. The ASU decided in May to extend its strike by 12 weeks, and after commencing the first one in February, I beg your pardon. Now the 12 weeks is almost up. Hopefully the impasse will be resolved and students can return to school. But the fear of such recurring has necessitated the need for students to look at opportunities elsewhere that will keep them not only busy but self-sufficient, employable, as well as earners way before they graduate. But as always, Nigeria's social media circles is bubbling with lots of trends. So let's give you what's trending in the past week before we get into this conversation.
Nigerians joined Muslims around the world to celebrate the Eid al-Kabir. It is also referred to as the Festival of Sacrifice and is marked with the slaughtering of rams, cows and sheep. In Muslim parlance, the festival is the most important feast in the Muslim calendar, as it is an occasion to celebrate the willingness of Prophet Ibrahim to sacrifice his son Ismail in submission to Allah's command. Nigerians expressed mixed reactions after candidate of the APC in 2023 general elections announced former Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima as his running mate, repeating what he presumed winner of the June 12, 1993 election, MKO Abiola, did 29 years ago. While some welcomed the idea, others believe it will be the APC's undoing in the coming election, as the country is too polarized along religious and ethnic lines to accommodate such.
The trends in the past week, but as we begin this conversation, you can also be a part of it. Just do that by tweeting at us at Channels TV, at Victor_MBIDI. You can also use the hashtag ChannelsBeam. You can also tweet as well to at ChannelsBeam. So joining us now to look at this, I have to my immediate right, Dr. Sam Aikwamogbe. He is a doctor of philosophy. He is a professional in strategic thinking and innovation. He is an advocate of lifelong learning. We also have with us in the studio here, Kamal Dandina. He is currently the Chief Growth Officer at Datalium, a digital ecosystem that develops and matches technology talents with local and global opportunities. It's a pleasure to have both of you join us today on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Of course. We all know that the strike is winding down. The 12 weeks is rounding down, but at the same time, we're not sure if federal government and ASU would, come to an agreement. So that need is still there for students, to look at alternative ways of, keeping themselves busy and, taking advantage of technology, to equip themselves and be employable, so to speak, now, when they eventually have their degrees. But Kamal kicks out the conversation for us. In terms of looking at, other opportunities, especially in tech, what aspects or where do you think they should be looking at?
Oh, thank you so much for that question. So for students, actually, when we look at the entire spectrum, when we're talking about tech, there are so many opportunities there, and some of the areas where students should be looking at first is I like to break them into two, right? Because we have issues where people talk about coding and the likes, where it's quite worrisome, or some people have that fear. Right? So looking at that, breaking down these two areas, we talk about the very technical aspects that require coding and those that also do not require coding, right? So students that are a little bit technically sound can be a little bit inclined towards coding or coding-related technologies, right? But there are also opportunities for other students who are scared of a bit of technicality, right? So they can jump into the non-coding aspect of tech, looking at technical writing, right? Project management, product management, and the likes. For those that are technically inclined and do not have issues in that regard, can look towards machine learning, data science, software development. These are wonderful opportunities for students that I feel, regardless of where they are now, or despite the fact that there are challenges with strike and ASU, they can upskill themselves and also earn decent living. Right.
Indeed. Doctor, how do you think, or what aspects should people be looking at? I mean, he's pretty much given us like a broad view of both sides, but in your own perspective, how do you think they should utilize their time?
Great. First and foremost, I want to say happy holiday.
Indeed.
And it's a great question to look at. I want to look at it from this perspective. Abraham Lincoln once said that the best way to predict the future is to create one. ASU strike has been a recurring decima. When I was in my final year, 2 weeks to the final exams, the school went not on strike, but there was a closure from the state government and the school management, and that lasted for 10 months. So what was I doing at home then? Maybe this topic would have been very, very important, but I want to look at it from a different dimension, from the area of artificial intelligence, technology, what the student could do, even those who doesn't have the skill set at all. Now, he mentioned the fact that the students or everybody is scared about coding. Yes, everybody may be scared of artificial intelligence. When you hear about artificial intelligence, there is this ignorance, there is this fear that comes into everybody that hear about artificial intelligence. But artificial intelligence is just a tool, just like hammer, just like any other tool. Now, a tool in your hand, what do you do with a tool? For instance, the social media is an AI tool. Now, the students are home. What do you do when you are home and the school? Now, we have a situation, you say, Bill Gates was a dropout, one or two other persons were dropped out from school. Why did they drop out? That's the question you ask. Because when they saw the tool, school was no longer necessary. So, in using the social media as a case study here, what do you do with social media? For instance, you have done probably 100 level, you've done 200 level, 300, maybe about to graduate, or you are just in 100 level. A course has been taught in school. How do you replicate that what have been taught in school to the whole world? Because the social media doesn't have restriction, it's borderless. How do you turn what you have learned for the whole world to see, and you create content? They asked the master to say, how do we become popular? How do we become known? He said, find a way to serve the many. Service to many leads to greatness. And J.F. Kennedy, a one-time president of America, said, do not ask what the country would do for you. Ask what I would do for my country. What he's saying in retrospect is that when you discover what you would do, you lead to greatness. And Zig Ziglar put it better. He said, when you do something enough for many, you have everything that you want. So I'm challenging the students that this is the best time they can be students. In 1833, a staff in a patent company dropped a resignation and said, I'm not doing again. Why? Because he felt everything that needed to be patented had been patented. And that was before this television we're using. That was before the telephone. So if a student finds himself at home this time around, he should create content. How do I rent my car out when I have two, for instance? Why do I rent my car out when I have another car, that official car they have given to me? A lot of people need to read about that.
Yeah, so it's let me bring Kamal back in this conversation. I mean, it's a two-way thing. If you create content or you get all of the skills, like I said, you match technology talents with global opportunities. Yeah, so people begin to think, how do I put myself out there? You made mention of social media, which is a tool, they can use,
exactly.
to put out there, So let's imagine for those who don't even know how to use or to create content and all of that and put it out on social, but they're learning, skills, data analytics, and all of those things, they begin to think of how they get matched with this, global opportunities, which is pretty much, what at the tail end, everything is all about how you earn, in the, in the long run. So they're beginning to think, how can they find these opportunities, that would need their services?
Okay, thank you for that great question. I think being able to spot opportunities has always been a problem for not just the students, but even people within their careers. And then looking at trends is a global issue. But thankfully, technology has given us good access, but you also need some direction in that regard for you to spot what these opportunities are and what they hold for you. Okay, so first, to answer the question of putting yourself out there, right? I like students to think that being in school is not a limitation, first. Working on their personal brand is also very important. So we have cases where people are fantastically good and talented technically, but they don't get the offers that best suits their talents, right? So going back, personal branding is key. I know the skills. Linking it with content building. How do I project myself leveraging on social media to tell the entire world that I'm good at these skills and I know my onions and I'm employable and I can give you value, right? So that's one bit. But then people like us then come to play as well. Because of our experience and working in the industry, we can direct you in the right place to go, right? So we have Detalium.careers, take for example, where once people have the required skills, it's a platform that matches talent with recruiters, right? So imagine a marketplace just for talent. So you have the skills, you go onto that platform, you are registered, you list out your technological stack, an employer goes on that platform as well. He is looking for a talent, of course, because we all know that getting technical talents, it's a headache for employers and headhunters. But now there is a unifying platform where that can happen seamlessly. And we're also there to support through our guided mentorship as well. So it's a new dawn for technical talents, if I may speak that way. And it's a new dawn for students, right? To earn decent living and also get mentorship from people like us in the industry that have actually gone through some of this path. We've also had the experiences of not having people to direct us or not having the platform to leverage on. But now we've made provisions for that, and we're there to support you through the way. But personal branding also plays a major role in that regard.
Indeed. Doc, in your own perspective, now looking at social media, again, because, I mean, it's wide, again, and so you do stuff, you put it out there, and then after shooting videos or creating content for hours, you have only 2 retweets. I mean, it can be discouraging.
Absolutely.
So, what should be the watchword? I mean, how resilient, for how long can one be resilient, when you create content and it doesn't get the needed traction, and the numbers and all of that? What should you be doing?
Okay, what should you be doing? I think the first thing is to understand life in depth. There's what we call the law of averages. The law of averages simply states that when you do 10 things, 1 or 2 will emerge as successful. Now, how do you get 4, for instance? It just means you do 40 or you do 20. By the time you do 10 and you get 4, you are a genius. You just need to know that there is even what we call the law of averages. So you don't get fagged out by the fact that nobody responded to you. Then another way to look at it is the fact that you need to discover your passion or your purpose in life. What do you really love doing? By the time you discover this is my purpose in life, I'm not sure not getting a response will be so strong enough to pull you down. Then you keep doing it. Then you need a mentor, like you mentioned, you need a mentor. You need somebody who have done this thing before. You will eventually become who've been there, that will just tell you, guy, relax. In the native adage, they said, what the elders will see while sitting, even the young guy will climb, he can't see anything because the guy has seen it all.
Yeah.
So you need a mentor.
So while we chew on that adage, let me just hold you there for a bit. We need to take a quick break.
Okay.
And of course, we'll come back, we'll get another perspective on how this can be done effectively. That's in a moment. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We still have with us our panelists right here in the studio, and we're looking at how technology can be used as a tool for people to skill up their skills and also get employed and earn and live decent lives. So just before we went on that break, Doc, you were talking about this adage, and you know, we pretty much based the conversation earlier on students, but if you also look at the indices in the country, we also have a high number of unemployed people. How can they key into this as well?
Does the unemployed, yeah. I think the social media, like we were talking about, is a gift, and it's the right time is happening. I think what the unemployed, the students needs to know. See, a lot of people in the United States of America, in the developed world, have just 1 year education or none, but they are sound.
On an average?
Yes, on an average, they are sound. You know, so where did they get their knowledge from? See, we need to create a knowledge-based economy, a knowledge-based awareness, creating awareness, challenging the conventional. You know, Napoleon Hill wrote the book Think and Grow Rich. He didn't say think, go to school and grow rich. He just said think and grow rich. Now, I fry akara, and I have a social media. I have gotten everything I need. So unemployed, employed, in fact, the students are unemployed as we speak. They are home, they are unemployed. True. And in retrospect, they are not doing anything, waiting for ASU to resume. That will not change the fact that a third class student in final year is going to make a first class when ASU resume. He's still going to make a third class. So what's he waiting for? To get the third class certificate and be scared to even look for employment? So he just needs, the strike is a blessing for him in disguise, because he needs to discover himself and do the right thing. We need to challenge the conventional, like I said. When I did this book, The Price of Retirement, different topics you can give to this. You can call it the price of go and die, because at retirement, quote and unquote, they're saying go and die. That's the perception. Some people can have it. But you can challenge and say, become self-actualized at 60. Then you start thinking, when I'm self-actualized, what will I need to be doing? So the unemployed is not a dichotomy between the superior and the inferior. No, we are all citizens. Everybody is like we are doing salad now. There's no employed eating ram or no, everybody is celebrating. So in the area of creating activity, you just need to use the social media or find out from those who are using it to tell them, these are akara that I fry. How do I sell it? How do I have offices in? I'm the best person in my local community. How do I do this? You know, so even in the education, there's a program we're doing right away. Not necessarily to do primary 1, primary 2, primary 3, but to support the school system, to support that child, to support that woman, to encourage the children not to pull out from school. Those who are pulling out from school, how do you get back to the school? Those who are retired, how do you fit into the economy? Those who are doing their PhD, those who are doing online, how do we support them? And how do you reach all these people? Through social media. It's simple. And you pick a phone call or you send an email, but the idea, the mind to do it is number one. And that is what we all have, whether employed or unemployed.
Or not. Kamal, what are your thoughts in that perspective?
Okay, first I would like to say that the unemployment rate in the country as we speak, it's a pandemic. And of course, it's quite troubling. But there's also an aspect of underemployment. And if we're going to look at those numbers, they're even more worrisome, in my opinion. But we're blessed in an era where technology has provided opportunities for people, where losing your job does not mean the end, but you can explore alternatives that are rewarding. So when you look at global trends, we talk about gig economy, of course, where we have lots of freelancers working from the comfort of their homes and earning well and doing things they enjoy. Then you begin to have hope for Nigeria, especially when we talk about leveraging on technology, right? So to address the issue of unemployment in that regard, basically is I just want to urge everyone to embrace tech regardless of you having a prior knowledge or not. Prior knowledge in technology, it's not a deterrent for you to upskill yourself and also achieve what you want to achieve. We all just want decent lives. We all want to be engaged with something fulfilling and contributing to the larger society. And this day and age, all you need to do for yourself is to be globally functional, right? You might not have the job within your locality, but I assure you, if you've actually invested in yourself and you have the skill required, you might just be in Ikorodu and you're working with a wonderful company in Silicon Valley, right?
I mean, it's happening. Like
it's happening.
Yes.
We have testimonies. We have people that have come through Detalium right now, and they are doing very well, right? Gainfully employed, working with global companies, and they're doing fantastically well without moving from their localities.
So, I mean, in all of this, we also have to look at the other side, which is, one, the cost of hardware, telephones or smartphones, laptops, and then the availability of data as well, especially in maybe in the nooks and crannies of the country,
Absolutely.
So if not data per se, but, high-speed internet. So there are all of these challenges. What do you think we should be doing? What do you think the government should be doing to surmount these challenges?
Okay, infrastructure to support technology is very important. I do agree with you. Currently, the infrastructure we have, I wouldn't say it's not sufficient, but improvements can be made, of course, to facilitate this growing trend in terms of the gig economy, freelancing, and to also support learning generally. The pandemic actually opened our eyes to a whole lot of things, right? A whole lot of things. Conventional higher institutions that never saw themselves delivering their lectures online were forced to do so, right? So if we didn't have the infrastructure that we already have right now, that wouldn't have been possible. But for us, when we're looking at it from an angle of scale, considering our people that are not in metropolis like ours, definitely we therefore need extra infrastructure at a very affordable rate for these people so that they can also key into this and, of course, result to reducing the level of unemployment, because now there's an option.
Doc, just in 30 seconds, let me just leave it at that, 30 seconds or 1 minute. I mean, how do you think that infrastructure can, or what do you think we should be doing differently in terms of trying to upscale the current infrastructure we have?
I think this is what we have for now, and we just need to work around it. Where the government can support, the government will support. But I think most importantly is for the mind to be reawakening. I met a young man in 2017. He was a drummer, and he finished his exam in his WAEC in 2011, and he never checked the results until 2017 when I asked him to go and check the results. And he had 6 credits with English and Maths. He's in Uniben right away. Now, what am I talking about? Mentoring, ask questions, find out who have done it before. Let the mind of people be reawakening. Let it be different from physics, chemistry, biology. There should be a general reawakening. A gate man can be a better person. As a gate man there, he doesn't need to change a job. As a gate man, he can even feed his family 3 square meters as a gate man there.
We can't wait for all of that to happen, of course, and all of that. But I have to thank you.
Thank you
To all of you for joining us. And of course, in terms of talking about upscaling, 5G is coming, of course, soon to the country. The FG has given the licenses to, for people to do that. So I'll have to say thank you again for joining us on the show.
Thank
That's where we are. Thank you so very much for joining us and being with us today on the show. I'm Victor Matthias. As always, we'll leave you with the most viewed videos on our YouTube channel in the past week. Bye for now.
discriminating, we start saying social persons.
This week's top 5 videos begin with a reaction from Senator Ali Ndume over President Buhari's statement after an attack on the Kuje Custodial Center.
Just make sure that where you keep these people are adequately protected.
It is followed in fourth by a claim by Mr. Waziri Adamu that the APC candidate in the 2023 general election, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, cannot win the election.
I assure you that both of them will work more for Atiku Abubakar than for Bola Tinubu.
Third place sees candidate of the NMPP, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, saying why he cannot be the running mate of the Labour Party candidate, Peter Obi. And in second spot is President Muhammadu Buhari during his solemn message, hoping that terrorists will understand that Nigeria's problem is to be productive.
The people that are organizing themselves and attacking institutions and so on, they know them, let them report them to the security agencies.
While first position is taken by the announcement of Dati Baba Ahmed as a running mate to the Labour Party's presidential candidate in the 2023 election.